how can we increase the value of human life? I said, how can we increase the value of human life? It's left to you and it's left to me to place the proper value on human life. Do you ever feel like you want to stop the world of people who are rushing by and doing whatever they do and ask the question, didn't you see what just happened? Didn't you hear what they just said or what they just did? You know, it can be quite frustrating. I mean, it can be frustrating as all get up to feel so helpless when you see that which needs so much help. You begin to wonder, does anyone care anymore? You begin to ask yourself, do black lives, white lives, brown lives, red, yellow lives really matter anymore? The crime wave of black on black crime, the inexplicable crimes that are happening in America, the injustices, the prejudices, the racism, much of which seems to go unnoticed by many Americans. Nobody seems to care, or very few people anyway. Does anyone really give a rat's tail anymore about anything? I mean, we can shout Black Lives Matter, white lives, even blue lives matter until the cows come home. And in our churches, we can jump, we can shout, we can run, and we as preachers can preach until the people are waving their hands and standing up and shouting, praise the Lord. But if we are not actively engaged, actively involved in making all human life, every life matter, then why don't we just shut up, get somewhere, and sit down? This is my take, so don't hate. Good Thursday morning. Welcome to another episode of My Take on this beautiful Thursday, December the 2nd, 2021, in this really kind of an unseasonably warm week. But I am not complaining, my friends. Well, the question has already been asked, but I'm not sure that we ever got an answer. I mean, a real answer. I mean, if we did, I don't think I like the answer. The question is, what's a life worth? What's a life worth? From all the evidence that has been presented, and there's a mountain of evidence, the answer is clearly not much. It seems that certain people, for certain reasons, have clearance to kill without impunity, especially if the victims are people of color or fall into that category of poor, the disadvantaged, or the defenseless. Sadly, in our nation, killing is separated. It is promoted, and killers are celebrated, not just by those we would normally expect. Killing and killers are celebrated by gangsters and thugs, not just by Americans in the killing of foreign enemies, but killing and killers are celebrated by American lawmakers, by politicians, by law enforcement officials, and certain what we call everyday Janes and Joes, only because they have a bone to pick with certain fellow Americans. You know, some people actually think they can just kill someone, then come up with some fake, lame excuse, some fake claim about self-defense, or they come up with the Goma power, citizens arrest, citizens arrest. And the tragedy is that we have a system and a society that sometimes supports such nonsense. You know, and I wonder what the wake-up call would be like when they finally realize, when it finally sinks in that I actually killed a person, when I actually took another life. It's unfortunate, it's shameful that an American lawmaker would endorse killing and celebrate a killer by publicly offering him a position as a page to work for him while the alleged killer was really a killer, whether it was justified or not, while he's yet on trial. And to me, as far as I'm concerned, that's interfering with the judicial process by an American lawmaker. But it is also a politician showing his colors. And I have to wonder, why is he so quick to try to get this boy close to him? Then another killer, because, with his part in a certain young man that was killed because of his part in that. Because of his participation in that, because he was connected to the killing of an individual, and just because that individual happened to have been black. Then you got certain Americans that are raising money and offering to pay his legal fees and take care of his family. Which I guess is just another way of them saying, attaboy, go get them, man, go get them. And then on the other hand, I'm fed up to the gill with people marching and protesting and shouting Black Lives Matter after the killing of a black person by a white person or by the police. While they celebrate, videotape, listen, their black on black crimes and post it on social media for the world to see. To watch them abusing our women, abusing our children. Yeah, Black Lives Matter. But we still disrespect. We still degrade our black women and people of our own race. Black Lives Matter, but we still neglect our children and abuse our elderly. We still destroy our own neighborhoods by allowing gangbangers to take over our neighborhoods. And we still allow illegal drugs to flow freely throughout our communities. Oh, yeah, Black Lives Matter. We celebrate bullying of our children and battering and abuse of our girls and our women. We celebrate while there's mass confusion over sexuality or gender identification. And this happens more so among our youth, and many of whom are now grown up and are adults, but they are no closer to knowing who they are or what they are than they were before. We walk with our heads high in the clouds or buried in our bosom, while there's little sense of value for life or significance in life among the children for whom we are supposed to be examples as adults. And we celebrate opposition to the powers that be, and I'm not against that. That could be a good thing. And we condemn our political system, and there's certainly a lot of things wrong with it. But only being against it, but not doing anything about it. When I ask how can we increase the value of human life, I'm not just placing a title to my talk. I really want to know how we can increase the value of human life. Our nation is at risk. Our families are at risk. Society is at risk. And every life in America is at risk. It's important that we answer that question, because there's a direct correlation between value of life and the longevity of life. There's a direct correlation between the value of life and the survival of a nation. And there's a direct correlation between the value of life and the success and the survival of a people. We can't continue to ignore what's happening in our country and to our country. We must find a way to increase the value of life, because life itself does matter, all life. The quality of life for Americans matter. The freedoms and the opportunities of all Americans, that matters. The future of America matters, my friend, with so many things in this world and in America that is considered priceless. How did life manage to fall through the cracks when it comes to value? What happened to us? When did we lose value of ourselves? And value is not always a matter of price or money. And in the case of human life, it's not at all about money. It's not at all about price. It's about life. It's about freedom. It's about equal opportunity for all Americans. And it's about fairness and equal justice for all. Value is about respect. It's about integrity. It's about character and kindness. Value is about being sensitive to and responding to the needs of others. It's about seeing others as at least equal to us. One of our problems is that we can't seem to love more than one people at a time. Hold up, hold your horses. I said, we cannot seem to love more than one people at a time. I didn't say one person. Loving one person at a time is good if we're talking about, an intimate relationship. That's a good thing. When I'm talking about love a person like that in an intimate way. Yeah, stick with one, my friend. That usually works out a whole lot better. But we have a problem with loving more than one people at a time. Are you understanding what I'm saying? In other words, if we love blacks, then we can't seem to love the whites. If we love the whites, we can't seem to love the blacks. We can't seem, I don't know what the problem is, but we cannot seem to love more or care for more than one people at a time. Are you hearing me? I mean, when you look at it, loving only one people is not a good thing. It's not good when we feel that we have to hate blacks just because we love our white brothers and sisters. Please hear me. It's not good when we feel the only way to love blacks is to hate those who are white. No, it's not good when people of every race, color, and nationality can't seem to love across the border. Or, as I may put it, love across the color line, or sometimes even within the line. Your white connection shouldn't prevent you from acknowledging and addressing racism in America. Are you hearing me, my friend? Your black connection or your black contacts or your status in society is more of a reason for you to speak out on the problem of racism and fairness and equality in America. We can't allow society to frighten us or intimidate us to the extent that we can't or won't hear the cries of suffering Americans. You know, and as I look at the situation, I wonder which is worse, all that is happening or our doing little to nothing about all that is happening. Which is worse? I tend to lean towards the latter. You know, confusion, complacency, and comfort have us in a drunken stupor and have us in a state of at ease in Zion. When we see it, we hear it, but the problem is that we don't feel it. The bell rings, but we fail to respond. It hurts them, and it also hurts us, but we don't feel the pain. It affects them, and whether we like it or not, it also affects us. Poverty hurts the rich as well as it hurts the poor. Racism hurts the whites as well as it hurts the people of color. And a lie, regardless of who tells it, hurts us all. Racism in America is not just a problem for black people and people of color to solve. It's a problem for all people of America, all Americans, and therefore it would take all people to reduce it and control it, even if we don't erase it. I know we talk about doing away and stamping out things and all of that, but let me tell you the truth. Crime and hate and killing is not just a problem for urban Americans. It's a problem for rural America as well as all Americans. Many evils, unfortunately, are here to stay. As long as there's an earth, they'll be here. But they don't have to be as prevalent or as prominent as we have allowed them to become here in America. There's more than one way to hurt people or to hurt our country. We can hurt them by what we say or by what we do. We can hurt them by what we allow to be said or what we allow to be done. And we can hurt them by our failure to respond and our failure to react with what we can say and what we can do. I still want to know. I still need to know. And you need to know. How can we increase the value of human life? The success, the safety, the security of our nation are depending on the answer. How can we increase the value of the black lives that we say matter? How can we increase the value of the white lives that we say matter? How can we increase the value of the blue lives, law enforcement that we claim matters? You know, one of the tragic and god-awful truths about America and black people in America is that we had more value as slaves than we do as free people. When we're looked upon as animals or property instead of a person, we got more respect, we had more value, and the ugly truth is we were provided for and protected better as slaves than we are as free people. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist or a brain surgeon to know that there's something terribly wrong with that picture. And come on now, don't be foolish. You know, I'm not suggesting that we go back to being slaves in order to be treated right. I'm saying that there were people, and there are people even now, who have this misguided view of what we as black people and people of color, what we are or what we should be. That is what needs to be corrected. Are you hearing what I'm saying? But let me tell you something, my friend. If you don't value yourself, how can you expect anybody else to value you? How can you expect anybody else to think highly of you when you don't think highly of yourself? How do you expect anybody else to help you when you don't want to help yourself? Don't you dare turn me off. No, you don't have to go check on anything on the stove. You know you ain't cooking. And some of you can't even cook anyway, so don't even go there. We need to hear the truth, and we need to do something about what is going on with our people and to our people in America, and to all people. I'm not speaking about black people, all people. And when we see this whole idea that we were more valuable then than we are now, listen, my friend, there's something wrong with that picture. There is something terribly wrong with that picture, and we need to do something about it. But what do we want to do about it? What can we do? How can we correct these wrongs? How can we put life and love back into life? And I suppose the first question that we probably need to address and that we probably need to answer is, do we want to do anything about it? Do we want to do anything? Do we want it to change? Or do we like the broken, corrupt, and deadly way of life in which we currently find ourselves? Do you want to be made whole? Do you want this nation to be delivered? That's the question. That's the hurdle that we've got to get over. And I want to give you a few things that I believe that are places where I believe that we can begin. A starting point, if you will. Now, I'm looking for you to give some answers, but we can at least begin with a few things that I believe that would be helpful. And first of all, begin with ensuring that we value our own life, that we value our own life. Begin with how the way in which we see ourselves, what we think about ourselves, what we feel about ourselves. Are you hearing what I'm saying? The way in which we treat ourselves. We'll fuss about somebody else abusing us, but yet we will abuse ourselves. We fuss about somebody else killing us, but yet we kill each other. And even individually, we kill ourselves by our low view of ourselves. We have to look at how do we treat ourselves as individuals, even as a people. We have to look at how we take care of ourselves. From everything from how we eat, how we exercise, how we sleep, how we educate ourselves, how we carry ourselves, all of that. So to me, that's a starting point. But secondly, begin with taking a personal interest in the lives of others. Listen, please, don't think so much of yourself that you fail to think of others. You need me to say it again? I don't mind. I'll say it again. Don't think so much of yourself that you fail to think of others. Let me go ahead and reverse that. Don't think so little of yourself that you fail to think of others. Please hear me. We have to take a personal interest in the lives of others. We have to be concerned about who they are and where they are and what they are going through. We have to rush to their rescue. Whether they are being attacked by hate, by injury, by illness, or by radical racists, we've got to stand with them and stand by them. Please hear me today. I'm not going to be speaking very long there, but please hear me. I'm speaking something that is simple, but is yet profound. Please hear me, my friend. How do you see yourself? How do you see others? Then thirdly, I believe that we have to begin with owning and embracing and protecting and preserving what belongs to us, to all Americans. Rights and privileges and protection belong to us. Freedom and justice belong to us. Opportunities belong to us. And our community belong to us. Our church belong to us. Our schools and our businesses belong to us. And I think we ought to celebrate the civil service and others who serve and give on our behalf, who sacrifice for the sake of us. Please hear me. And we have to embrace that which belongs to us. Stop thinking of this country. I'm talking to black people and people of color, whether you're immigrants or whatever, and you're here, whether legally or illegally, trying to become legal, whatever the case might be. This is our country. There are a lot of people out there trying to make you believe and would have you believe that this country belongs only to a certain group of people. The devil is a liar. This is your country. These are our communities. These are our neighborhoods. These are our churches. These are our businesses. These are our schools. These are our teachers, our preachers. These are our police officers. And we have to embrace, protect, preserve, support that which is ours, my friend. And then, fourthly, we can begin by giving more energy to and pay more attention to what's happening in the political arena and what's happening within the social climate and the culture in which we live. We've got to open our eyes and stop walking around with blinders on. And whatever bothers anybody else ought to bother us. Whatever touches them ought to touch us. And even when we look at the political situation, much of I talked about this not very long ago, how so many of us think that, well, politics don't belong in the church, politics don't belong in all that. Politics is everywhere. Get over it. Are you hearing me? And it's something that we ought to talk about, because much that happens in our lives and to our lives passes through the gates of politics. Absolutely. Then fifthly and finally, invest in the wholeness and the wellness of our communities and our country. Get involved. Stand up and step up and offer your resources and offer yourself in service to your community and to your country, my friend. Are you hearing what I'm saying? How can we increase the value of human life? May I encourage you? Stop trying to be somebody and realize you are somebody. Stop trying to be important and begin doing important things. Begin fighting for important causes and begin loving and caring for important people. Please hear me. Don't tune me out yet. We're almost there. I raised the question. How can we increase the value of human life? Now, how about you providing the answer? Now, that's my take. What do you have to say? Sound off. Yeah, speak up. Yeah.